All right, Doc, let's talk about mantras and positive affirmations. Like, how important are they for just all of us, but really moms this weekend?
It's so important for moms this weekend because it sets our mindset. What we tell ourselves, our brain believes it, we believe it. So it's important that we're positive.
Boom.
So an example of a mantra is maybe, I am strong. I am strong. And then a positive affirmation would be, I can get through dinner tonight. I can get through dinner tonight. Whatever it is, whatever you think is going to be your challenge, turn it into a positive, say it to yourself. It literally makes a difference.
The Crisco Kid Block Party.
All right, my next guest on the show, and I'm going to read this because I'm going to make sure I get it 100% correct, because with a resume like this, you got to be on point. She is a nationally renowned clinical psychologist, a play therapist, and family therapist in private practice. She's also a regular with 15 years of experience appearing weekly on air and online. She's also a podcast host, a TEDx speaker, mother of three, and the award-winning author of Mommy Burnout. There is so much more, but I want to get into what we're talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Sheryl Ziegler. Woo-hoo! Should I have thrown that Gonzalez in there? Because I noticed on this book, the Cheryl Gonzalez Ziegler's up in there.
That's my maiden name. I got to own that.
I realized that the last time you were here, so odd that it was literally 4 years to the day. 4 years ago in May, Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's why it was like meant for you to be back on the show. So welcome back, first of all. And second of all, since you put out Mommy Burnout, that's what you were here for. And by the way, as you can see, here is my copy. It stays in our home. Yes, stays in our home. It was a crucial time when you put that out. And moving forward, the new book that is out now, it is called The Crucial Years. It seems like you come at those crucial moments, Dr. Z. There's the book. Look at it. Look at it.
Look at that. Is that the cutest cover?
I love it. I love it because you put the kid and the adult shoes right next to each other. Congratulations. Another book. It is out everywhere.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So what inspired The Crucial Years? We know Mommy Burnout was during the pandemic. A lot of moms and just parents in general were feeling so stressed, a lot of pressure. No one had been through that. They say it was a 1 in every 100 years type situation we all went through. What kind of inspired The Crucial Years, A? And then what is this book about? I can just tell them this. It's about middle childhood. No one's really talking about it. The kids between 6 and 12. And let's go from there.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with what inspired it. The pandemic really is what inspired it. Like, what happened was, it was March of 2020. The first thing that happened after we shut down, like, I didn't stop. I worked 6 days a week. I literally just went online right away. It doesn't matter if you were a kid, if you were 5, if you were 15, like, I was seeing them on video right away. And basically the next month in April, I had this mother-daughter puberty class that I do. It's called Start with the Talk. And that's in person. And I had to cancel it, obviously. And I was like, no, like, these kids and these parents need this puberty information. So I went, like, it felt like I was doing something so wrong. Like, I went downtown and I went to a space, and then I had these guys, they were all masked up. And for a whole day, I just converted it. I was talking as if people were there, but nobody was there. And I was just like talking so that I created an online course. Then we start seeing in that summer all these reports about 1 million new prescriptions of anti-anxiety meds are out for kids. We are in an emergency, a state of emergency eventually we got to. And I was like, of course, I got to do something. So at first I was going to write about teens because I see a lot of teens. But I was like, I don't know. They're in a massive crisis. I don't really know that a book is what they need or what a parent needs right now. So then I started seeing the pattern of how many calls I was getting, which it was out of control, really. And the ages, and the average age was 8. Those were the kids that we were getting calls on. These kids were young. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, the kids that I think are really struggling, I know there were teens, of course, that were struggling, but I saw more of the younger kids were struggling. And now we all know that. It sounds normal now, but at the time it was all live, like, what's happening? And then I had that puberty talk that just was on my mind. And then this is what happened. The Daily, the New York Times, the Daily, the podcast, they did an episode about earlier puberty, that these pediatricians and endocrinologists were like, okay, we're early into this pandemic and there's a whole bunch of kids. We're getting calls. They were getting calls for 7, 8, and 9-year-olds that were in puberty. And so it was like both of our worlds, like my world being mental health, the system was already cracking. It broke. And it was like the same thing with endocrinologists. They were seeing earlier puberty before the pandemic, and then the pandemic came and that's it. Then they saw it much more. So we put it all together and it was like, yeah, right about the stage before teenagers so we could prevent this from happening. So that's how it happened.
So many times we don't think. It's kind of like, I already started reading the book. Thank you for sending the advanced copy. But it is, we forget to bring that time, 6 to like 12-year-olds. I know we say preteen, which is like that 10, 11, 12 to get in there. But bringing up the puberty point is a great point, because there are, you hear the stories about, oh my God, somebody got pregnant, or somebody started the period a little earlier, or a young boy was able to get someone pregnant. You're like, first of all, that's so many other things to be talking about, but that's the science though as well, that they're experiencing these hormones, they're experiencing the body changes at an earlier stage in life. And I think a lot of us, especially I'm a first-time parent now. He's 6, and I understand you have 3 kids, and you have a younger one, I think around that same age as I do as well. And according to the book, because I've been reading, and so to know that they're experiencing these things earlier in life is kind of alarming, and it kind of sets our parent clock a little. We got to speed it up a little bit, because we got to be prepared for the conversations that are about to come and the life situation. So thank you for writing this book.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what's happening. Like if I had to say a line, it's like there's 2 things. Number one, what I hear a lot from parents is, I thought I had more time. Like, how is my 3rd grader acting like a middle schooler? How is my 5th grader acting like a straight up high schooler? And it is, they're literally, it is because, very strongly, because of earlier puberty. That starts in the brain. So by the time you see the physical signs of puberty, your kid already started. It just started up in their brain. That's the moods. That's the irritability. That's the like, I'm crying 1 second, I'm laughing the next. I hate you 1 minute, I love you the next. That's the beginnings of it. And we're seeing this now. I'm not saying with every kid, but if you had an 8-year-old, just for perspective, if you had an 8-year-old girl or a 9-year-old boy, and you started seeing the physical signs of puberty and went to the doctor, that's still considered within the norm, the average. It's the early end of average. That's how young kids are now getting and going into puberty and getting their breast development. And boys, a lot of people don't even know what the first sign of puberty. We think it's them growing tall. It's their testicles growing larger, right? Well, you don't see that anymore. Yours is 6, so you're probably sometimes still bathing them and stuff. But in the next year or 2, that's going to stop, right? And you're not going to see certain things.
I think it's a very great point that you brought up, as far as like the body changes and the hormonal changes, because some parents, and as we've seen, and I know you see this as well, parents are getting older. Right? Some people have started to have kids a little older. And so, men, we may have the midlife crises or whatever. Women also experience menopause. And I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's Mother's Day weekend as well. And
Yep.
so, and Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think these are things to consider when we're looking at body changes from the mom, who is also experiencing some of the things happening at the same time that a 6 to 12-year-old, that middle child might be experiencing.
Yes. And I said that too. I was like, I think we should talk about this. Like at the very least, most moms with a kid from 6 to 12 are in perimenopause. So I'm like, we got puberty and perimenopause happening at the same time. I think we got to talk about this, because you've got 2 hormonal people living under the same roof with a mom who's like, what is going on? You're 9, you're in 3rd grade. Why are you acting this way? Or why are you developing this way? Why are you emotional? Or they bring a friend over and your kid still looks like what you think a 9-year-old looks like. And then all of a sudden their friend is like 6 inches taller, getting hips already. And you're like, oh my Lord, what is happening? What I want people to understand is, if you have a kid who you're like, nope, not my kid. My kid's not in earlier puberty. My kid's, average, fine. Just know their friend, your neighbor, their cousin, the kid on their soccer team, somebody and multiple people around them are going through it, and that impacts the social dynamic. That really, really does. So between the home stuff with the moms and their own hormones and their changes that they don't understand, thank God we're starting to talk about it. Perimenopause and menopause is having its moment. And I hope this earlier puberty piece and this middle childhood piece has its moment too, because the two go together. They really do. They go together.
So the title of the book, The Crucial Years. Let's just define the crucial years, and then what are things that we can all be prepared for as parents, or maybe you're a big brother or sister listening right now. What can we kind of be prepared for? What are so crucial about the crucial years that you had to name the book that?
Yeah, I know, right? It took us a long time to figure out the name of this book. And then when it happened, it was like, yeah. So, okay, toddlers, right? We know toddlers. Babies to toddlers, 0 to 5, we know everything. You could go to the pediatrician, they're like 4 years old. This is exactly what they're supposed to be doing, right? You know it. And then teens, everyone's prepared for like these dreaded teen years. Oh my gosh, right? And then there's the middle that Freud actually called latency. It was like thought to be like, you're chilling, everything's calm, sexual impulses are down, and they're just going on their way. They're becoming a little bit more independent. And when you actually look at the data, especially now with screens and technology and all of that paired with that earlier puberty, that is not true at all. So these are years that there's a different psychologist, his name was Erickson. He created these psychosocial stages of development. And what he said was 6 to 12 is middle childhood. And this is where a kid gains their self-esteem. He calls it industry versus inferiority. And literally what that means, just at the end of it, like 6 to 12 years old, at 12 years old, does your kid feel industrious? Meaning, do they know how to do stuff? Do they know what they're good at? Right? If they don't, they come out feeling inferior. They don't know how to do stuff. They don't have positive self-esteem. And I will tell you, with nearly every referral call that I get, there's an element of a parent saying, my kid has the worst self-talk. My kid has terrible self-esteem. My kid they just act like they don't want to take any risks. They don't want to try new things. And that's exactly what he was talking about. This middle childhood, all these people who say, oh, I want my teenager to like not fall to peer pressure and be a leader. Well, you got to know what you're good at. You got to take risks. You got to fail. You got to have parents who support that. So when you become a teenager, those are the identity years. Then in those years, you know who you are and you know who your people are and you know how to find them and where to find them. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And again, reading some of the book already, you do break it down. And by the way, very well written, easy to follow, super digestible, to where I got through like about 80 pages on the first like day or two, right? Because
Awesome.
it just kind of keeps you going. It's stuff that I feel as a parent I need. And when you break down the different stages, what to expect from a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9, a 10, 11, a 12, it does make it puts it into like tangible perspective, right? I can see these things happening with my son. And I think you're right on. And that's why you're a published author. I'm not, is because understanding that in these crucial years, we have a responsibility as parents as well, not to just get upset with the kids, but I think to understand what we call home training, right? The sooner we show our kids what it means to be compassionate, what it means to be responsible, some type of chores around the house. These are things that, like you said, when you set that foundation, we can worry less as they get into the teen years versus they had what's it called, reverse engineering, trying to figure out what happened, where did it go wrong while they're already teens, and try to correct all that, right? I love how this book is addressing those crucial moments, the crucial years, so that way we can raise teenagers and we can raise adults that at the end of the day we can be proud of, and as parents we can say we did our job.
Absolutely. It's just like what you said. I want everybody to think about this for a second. You think 0 to 5, right? You're just keeping your kid alive. You're providing them with you're baby proofing everything. You're exposing them to some friends for the first time. Like you're doing a lot of really fundamental things, super important. And 6 to 12 is they still look at you. First of all, you can talk to them and now they can talk back, right? Like with more advanced words. And like you're saying, I did it by age. So you could see how long should their attention span be? How are they learning? What's their moral development? I put that as a category. What are their responsibilities? I did it for every single year. And this is something I made up. But it's based in true child development so that parents could at least be like, oh, okay. And I've had people say to me, I think I was expecting more out of my kid, or maybe I was expecting less out of my kid and I could expect more. But what I want them to understand is like, let's say even 10, 11 years old, like especially your little cutie at 6. Mine is 12. But so we have them on the different ends of the spectrum, right? Yours and mine still to a degree. Well, especially yours. They want to hold your hand still. They want to cuddle, right? They want to like touch your face. They think you're like the funniest, you're the smartest, you're their favorite person on planet Earth.
Which I am.
You are. Right? You are all those things. And even if you're not to someone, to your son, you are. Until guess when?
They get a little older.
Right. When he's a teenager. And all of a sudden, it's going to be like, Dad, you don't know. Dad, you don't understand. And you're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, you just like, you don't understand, right? Parents just don't understand. That whole Will Smith, like, that was real. And that hasn't changed no matter what. That hasn't changed. They get to that stage where they look at us like we're old, we don't understand, we're outdated, we're all these things. It doesn't even matter how cool you are. It's just going to happen. And so this is your, what I call, so in my field, they call these the forgotten years. What I call them are the opportunity years. These are your years to instill your values. And I have research in here. If they know how you feel about drugs, if they know how you feel about alcohol, they know how you feel about smoking, all those things. It's wearing a seatbelt, sex. I'm not telling you what your values should be. That's up to you. It's just tell them what your values are. It soaks in. And the research shows when they are 15 and 16, and maybe they're going to drink, maybe they're going to have sex, whatever they're going to do. Literally, they're going to hear your voice in their head because during those crucial years, you told them. If you wait till 15 or 16 and you go, oh, you're going to a party tonight, maybe we should talk. You've missed your window of opportunity. For most kids, you've missed it.
Yeah, because if you don't take that opportunity, someone is going to be having, you talk about this in the book, someone's going to have those conversations with your child, and it should be you. It better be you.
Yeah, it's the internet. It's going to be some social media person. It's going to be porn. It's going to be something probably that you wouldn't want it to be. So I provide scripts. I don't know if you've gotten to that part yet, but for every kind of hard conversation, I provide a script, parent, child, and you make it your own. But at least you could see, okay, I could do this. I could do this. Not hard.
You know, you just mentioned social media though, and talking about being online and getting information from different places. One of the things that, or the topics that you address in the crucial years is digital childhood, screen time, right? Let's talk about that. And as a professional, when you're talking to kids all the time, what are you seeing? Because I know we've been hearing this for like the last 10 years, maybe as soon as like YouTube came out, right? So you're holding the screen too close, or actually since we were kids in the 80s and 90s, it's like, don't sit too close to the screen.
It's the TV, right?
Right. But now we're seeing it's just scrolling. We're just scrolling. Our kids are playing the games. Everything is right here. Or, you know, what are the effects during the crucial years to where if your child is watching the screen too much more than you, we might be in trouble.
Oh gosh. I mean, there's so many. Let me start off with, okay? Let me start off with this little fact. Okay, so for anybody who's like, "Oh, my kids are young and maybe I don't need to be thinking about this yet." First of all, you said it. The first social media app your kid will very likely encounter is YouTube. I do not want parents to forget that YouTube is a social media app. Okay. So that's the first thing, because everywhere I go, from an airplane to a grocery store, I see toddlers staring at the iPad, on YouTube, right? Like little zombies. And honestly, that has a big impact. I know I'm talking about 6 to 12, but for anybody listening who has a baby, and, I'm not saying, actually, the American Academy of Pediatrics actually does say under the age of 2, a baby shouldn't even be looking at a screen. Okay. Now we're talking 2 and 3 and 4 years old. It should be like 20 minutes a day. Okay. And that's at most. And so 40% though of 8 to 12-year-olds are already on social media. 40%. And I think some people feel like, oh, well, YouTube's, it's kind of like watching TV. No, it's not. Because it's social and it's ongoing. And before you know it, you're watching this video and now you're watching this one. Then you're looking at people's comments. Then you get curious. Think about how curious kids are. They're so curious. That's the best part of a kid, I think. And then all they have to do is type that curiosity right into a search bar, right? Whether that's in YouTube or that's on Google or it's on AI, right? And they put it in there and you, again, don't know what they're going to get. And so the first thing I want parents to know is that I want this generation of kids to grow up with healthy digital habits. I'm not like, there's plenty of stuff. I sprinkle it in here, how screens aren't great for kids. I think we all know that. I think in practice though, you got to start imagining yourself like, how am I going to regulate this? When am I going to give my kid a smartphone? When am I going to allow my kid to have Snapchat? Do I know how to work parental controls? Do you even know that on Roblox, people can be messaging your kid? That looks like the most innocent game. If you look at it, it's like, oh, that's cute. Look, they're at a little dog parlor, like, making up a designer dog. Nope. On the top left of that thing, there's a scrolling feed. And can you turn it off? You can. And I put this all in the book. Like, this chapter literally kicked my butt. This was the hardest chapter because there was so much to say. And I wanted it to be so practical that people would be like, oh my God, thank you. Like, that's how I feel. I feel like you're welcome right now. Cause I went through it and I was like, here's what you got to know, not for the teens, for this age range, how to have a conversation, how to create a contract, right? How to do the parental controls. They're changing all the time, but I promise they're there. They're kind of hidden. They can be deep in there, but they're there.
I do think with the socialization, there can be a benefit if they're with their friends. But sometimes when you have the random scrolling, I tell them to mute people on it because I'm like, wait, what did that person just say? So I know we can mute. I know we can do that on Fortnite and other different types of games, but you're right. It's always a continuous, there's streams that might be watching on Twitch and other platforms as well. I think, and we're kind of moving into a different chapter of the book here, or just maybe with life as part of mommy burnout and the crucial years. But being Mother's Day weekend, I think that a lot of parents, we do look at, and you address this in the book, as the time when they get to about that 6 to 12, that the parents start to reclaim some of our time as well, right? And it's easy for us to say, I like, there's sometimes where I'm like, hey, I got to finish this video. I got to edit this, or I do real estate as well. So I got to get this contract in, or working on a nonprofit. Hey, just go watch this video. Yeah, you can watch Bluey. And then all of a sudden there's 26 episodes that have gone by and you can watch these other families on YouTube. And you forget at one point that, wait, my son or daughter has consumed all this information. And then it might be just the fact that moms might need a little break, whether that's going to the backyard, whether that's just relaxing in a room by themselves. But then there's got to be that balance. So how do you recommend parents finding the balance of letting their kid kind of explore? Because in the crucial years, that middle childhood, there's a lot of exploration, but then letting them go, but also still have a little leash, not a helicopter parent, but like to where you can reclaim some of your mental health, some of your relaxation that you need to function as a human being, and then also still be aware of what's happening with our kids' life during these crucial years.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, right? Even your question is like, I got to take a breath, right? Because it is so real. I'm in it too. I have 3 kids. I'm working. I get it. I'm in it too. Here's what I want to say though. You set it up perfect. I have done it millions of times, right? Where I'm like, okay, guys, 5 more minutes or just one show. And let me finish this up. You guys do this. And before I know it, I've gone an hour. They've been watching, of course, the whole time. They've completely lost track of time. They're not being defiant. For the most part, they're not even trying to pull one over on you. It is created to be addictive. So they truly are addicted to it. They're getting this dopamine hit. It feels so good and it's exciting, way different than TV. And then what you want to do, though, I think, is you go, okay, I get it. We're all in a pretty similar boat. I have to be intentional with my time. Because these are the years where they start separating. You drop them off at school. They're gone at least 7 hours a day. If not, then after school activity, it could be 8, 9 hours a day. You have a very small window. It is a window of opportunity, but it's small. So you want to be really intentional with it. So this is what I say. You got to teach your kids how to rest. And we adults also need to learn how to rest, not go to sleep, not take a nap, not go, clean the house. As your mom rests, that's not rest. Like, I get it. I can be like that, but it's like, no, that's not rest. We got to all learn how to rest. And for kids, it's so important because that's where creativity is born. When they're like, I'm bored, I'm like, sweet, that's awesome. Now you're going to start getting creative. And if we occupy the way kind of we currently do right now, all of their time with something, which is either screens or like a very structured sport that they're going to, where's the creativity? Where's the boredom? Where's the dreaming? You actually need it. It's not a luxury. It's a need. So I just say we got to learn how to rest. Kids have to learn how to be creative again and have the time for that. We got to preserve childhood too. Really, because when I'm talking about a 9-year-old that might be starting to develop, we treat them, we as society, that includes parents and just society at large, we treat them different. Now we start treating them older. Now we start even adultifying them or even sexualizing them without even realizing, like, oh, look at you, look how tall you are, look at this, look at that. And that kind of sends a message to a 9 or 10-year-old, like, childhood's over. It's time for me to start acting different. And again, this is all happening in lots of parts, lots of little threads of our society. And that's what I'm here to say. Protect your kids' childhood. Yes, let them build with Legos at home. If you can, if there's somewhere outside they can go, please go outside, go run, go get dirty, go climb in trees. And I'm not just saying that to be nostalgic or sound old school. This is literally child development. The whole entire book is like that. I write things and I'm like, this isn't like my opinion or wokeness or anything. This is what children developing really need to thrive. And so that's really what I would say to parents as a starting point.
Thank you for that. Again, because Brenda's always saying, hey, he's only 6. Stop. Remember, he's a kid. You have conversations with him sometimes that you think he's an adult. Well, and part of that's my fault. And I understand that. But because my son is morphing into like one of my best friends. And we talk to each other and we have these conversations to where, like I can ask a question to an adult sometimes and I'll be like, hey, how do you eat an elephant? I don't know. Can you even cook an elephant? What kind of skin is that? What is the meat? Do you have to? And my son knows immediately, one bite at a time. And that's the way he looks at every problem now. But it's these grown up type of mentality, situation that I put him in and that we go through together because, again, I'm learning every day how to be a parent as he's learning how to be a human. And
Yes.
I'm working on trying to let him enjoy his childhood. I coach his little league or, his flag football teams. But it's finding that balance. And I think with this book, it's going to help not just myself and my family, but I think parents, families all across the country, all across the world who can really pay more attention to the crucial years, that middle childhood. Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Z, if there's any, I guess, final words to where you want people to walk away from your book or just even this conversation today. Hopefully they go get the book. They can listen to it, audio book it or Kindle it, whatever. Get the physical copy. I'm a fan of physical copies. What do you want them to walk away with?
I want parents to walk away with the idea that middle childhood or these school age kids, this isn't a waiting room. This is not a time to kick back. I get it. You're finally back at work or you're doing the thing, you're working out, you're doing whatever you want to do. You can still do all those things. But when you have your time with your child, it has to be quality. Instill your values. That's probably the biggest thing that I would say. And you are preparing. This is the most amazing thing. You're doing 2 things at once. You're preparing them for just all the stuff, friendship stuff, all the friend stuff starts now, right? All the friendship, all the things that are happening in their lives now, but you're also preparing them for a healthier adolescence. And in some cases, and I'll put it in the book when I have the research, even young adulthood, they'll trace it back to what was happening 6 to 12 and how the impact, particularly on their mental health, is positive or negative in adulthood based on these things. So this is truly crucial. I would never be so like preposterous to say something like so big, like these are the crucial years, if I really didn't feel that way. And so that's what I hope they walk away from. They feel empowered too. This book, for some people, they'll be like, oh my God, it caused me a little anxiety. I don't want it to cause anybody anxiety. I want it to be inspiring. I want you to feel challenged in a positive way and like empowered, like I could do this. And I'm just happy to know that you like it so far. And I can't wait to hear what everybody thinks.
Well, look, you're welcome on the show anytime. I'm glad you messaged because I'm excited for this book to come out. That means I'm this show is one of the first places that you came to share this book with us, and we really do appreciate you. All your social media, where can they buy the book? Where do you want them to go?
You can buy the book anywhere that books are sold, Amazon, anywhere else the books are sold. And you can find everything in one hub on my website, drsherylziegler.com. And I also have a Substack that I just launched, and it's going to be really supporting the book. So anyone who's into Substack, it's literally like almost like a book club. Like you'll be able to follow along and I'll have videos and articles and all the things. So just follow me, Instagram. And you're right, I DM'd you. I'm so happy I did. You were so great to me with Mommy Burnout. And so I'm just super excited. I love that you're a dad and you can relate to and just like for all the dads, because dads have the role of the dad is like so exciting to me. So thanks for everything you do.
Happy Mother's Day to you and all the moms out there.
Thank
Hey,
you.
get the book now.
The Crucial Years. Thank you.